Well, in junior high ministry, we're going to start talking about sex. And now that I got your attention, let's talk about that. All right, so I got your attention. And before I go any further, please hear this, okay? First thing, I need you to watch this entire video. I have no idea how long it's going to be. I just know you need to watch the whole thing, okay? If you got to start watching it and then take a break, that's fine. Come back to it later. In the description, whether this is on YouTube or on Facebook, I'm going to have little time markers so you can come back to it at any moment, you know, and it'll be like, hey, at 5 minutes, Aaron's talking about pornography, okay? So just to help you out, I'm going to do that. So look for the time stamps, whatever they're called, in the description. And the second thing I need you to do is this. Share this video. There's a lot of parents in our junior high ministry that don't follow our Facebook page, and so they're never going to get a chance to see this, but maybe you're friends with them. So let them know, hey, A, follow our Facebook page, but B, watch this video, okay? The other thing, too, is maybe some parents don't have a Facebook account, and you might need to say, hey, go check out this video on YouTube and hear what Pastor Aaron's going to be talking about over the next few weeks. So do those things for me, and it'll be beneficial. Hopefully, it'll answer a lot of questions. I'm going to do my best to be clear what the next 3 weeks are going to look like in junior high. Well, let me start off saying this. We live in a sexually broken world, right? I don't think any of you would disagree with that. Our culture, our society, it has a very distorted view of God's design for sex. It's abused, it's overused. It's being done in the wrong way, in the wrong context of what God designed it for. And our kids are seeing that. Our kids are learning that. Did you watch the Super Bowl? Right? Halftime show. Maybe many of you clicked off. I had 2 little kids. I had to click off of it because that is an example, unfortunately, of a way that sex is glorified in our culture. And listen, that's just a Super Bowl halftime show, right? We can see through the different TV shows, movies, social media. This is something I'm trying to keep up with. Instagram, Twitter, Snapchat, TikTok. I'm just learning about TikTok, okay? So if you're trying to figure it out all too, I'm doing my best to learn about it so I can help you with it, okay? But it's everywhere. It is everywhere, just sexual glorification in all the wrong ways. And so while we do talk about the different things of the Bible, like God's promises, God's truths, different Bible stories, the different characteristic things that we can learn, the different stories, we also need to learn about different topics that we can find in Scripture in a God-honoring way, be able to preach that and teach that to our students. But here are 2 things we run into when it comes to a series like this. One, we realize that not every student is at this stage of life where they're wondering about what sex is. We realize that for a lot of students, this just goes over their head. They're not even thinking about this right now. So they show up to JHM and they start hearing this for the first time, and then they come home and they say, Mom, Dad, Pastor Aaron was talking about sex. What is that? And then I have a talk with you, right? The second thing is this. I also realize that you as a parent, you have maybe different convictions and maybe you have already an idea of, hey, when my child turns 13 years old, we're gonna have the talk, right? And I want them to hear it from me as the parent. I agree. I want your kids to hear about sex and all this stuff before I do. That's what this video is for, so you can have a heads up. Sorry for the short notice. Sorry. But really, you might say, hey, you know what? I know that on week 3, Aaron's going to talk about sex, so I'm going to keep my kid with me in the service. That is perfectly fine. I want you to be the parent, and you have the say on what your kid hears, especially when it comes to this. So with that being said, here's 3 things I want you to know. 1, we're going to be looking at all of this subject, right? Sex, pornography, dating, and a holistic approach. We're not just going to sit there and say, don't have sex before marriage because it's sinful. That is 100% right. It is. But there's so many layers to that statement. There's so many other things that we need our students to know. And our goal is to help push our students into pursuing sexual integrity, right? As they walk in their relationship with the Lord and throughout their entire life, that they would pursue sexual integrity in the sexually broken world. That's what our desire is, that they would have a healthy understanding of what sex is and all the negatives and all the other things that come with that. The second thing is this: we're going to be looking at this in a theological approach, okay? So we're not going over the biological stuff of sex or the mechanics of it, okay? That is not up to me. Okay, that's you guys can deal with that. We are strictly looking at this in a theological approach. This is a theology class, not a sex ed class. So hopefully there's some comfort there. The third thing is this: we're going to keep this as G-rated as we possibly can. I've met with a few parents, several parents, and I've also been doing lots of research through pastors who over the past 20, 30 years have been looking at this subject just in and of itself. And here is the stuff that we're teaching is, this is the age range that they suggest you teach. And so the content that I'm giving will be that. It'll be age appropriate, and we're keeping it Disney style here for the most part, okay? And then the last one is this: we want to partner with you as parents to win, okay, to have success in winning this conversation with your child. We are a partner with you. We want to walk alongside of you, and we realize that some of you are not prepared for this, and I get that. It should be your responsibility to talk to your kids about this, but maybe for some of you, you're just not there yet. This is where I get to come in, and hopefully your child is learning and engaging in these conversations to where they can come home and that you guys can be set up for a successful conversation. So one thing that I'll be doing is every week I'll be posting right here on Facebook, it'll be on YouTube, that week's message, and I'm going to give you the big idea of it. I'm going to give you the teaching points and give you just a little bit of structure behind that message so that you can be prepared and, again, set up to win. So here's what I want you to do. I want you to just be in prayer. I want you to be in prayer for this series. I want you to be in prayer for your children. I want you to pray for yourself. Be praying for me, for our leaders. We do the message on Sundays, and so on Sunday, February 9th, we're going to be looking at lust versus love. In just a moment, I'll kind of go over the breakdown of each week real quick, but we'll look at the main subject on Sunday, and then we'll continue that subject and that content on Wednesday night, where students will go into their small groups and they'll answer some questions, and every question is at the comfort level of your student. None of your students are forced to have to answer a question if they don't see it comfortable, okay? So let me go over what each week looks like. First and foremost, we've already done week 1, okay? So I'm sorry this video is a little late, but week 1 was a very basic introduction to relationships. All relationships. Relationship with you as parents, relationships with friends. We didn't really talk much about dating relationships because we're saving that for the last week, but just relationships in general. And in that, we learned that God created us to be in a relationship, right? When He created Adam, the first thing that wasn't good was that he was alone. And so from Adam, He made Eve so that he would be in a relationship with her. So relationships are good, but relationships can also be messy, right? And maybe we've experienced that in some way or another. And our students already learned that messes happen when we push God away, when we push our relationship with God kind of out of the picture, or messes happen when we make a relationship our God. We idolize any type of relationship that we're in. And so the big idea was that unless we are fully engaging in our relationship with God, then any other relationship that we have is just trying to fill that void. Only that true relationship with Jesus will bring us that joy that so many people want when it comes to having relationships with friends, family, dating, whatever the case may be. So let me go over what the next 3 weeks will look like, starting with February 9th and that following Wednesday. Okay, so this Sunday, which would be the 9th, and then also on Wednesday, February 12th, our subject is love versus lust. And here's the big idea. Here's what kids will take away from that night. Lust is selfish. Love is selfless. And some of the key teaching points of that message is going to be God is the source of true love, and the greatest display of love was selfless sacrifice. And this night, we're also going to be talking very briefly, not an extensive look at, but we will be talking about pornography. And just for you, a quick statistic, the average age that a kid is exposed to pornography is the age of 11. And that's right where our kids are. That's the age range of a junior higher. And another statistic is that 22% of those who watch pornography on a somewhat regular basis is at the age of 10. 22%. Guys, that's a lot. And so, yeah, there's an elephant in the room, and it's called pornography, and we need to discuss that. So we will be talking, again, we're not going to get into details, but we're going to talk about lust versus love, and we will be mentioning pornography on that night. Also, the 16th and the 19th, so the Sunday and the Wednesday, we will be talking about sex. So on that weekend and that week, we're going to learn that sex is a big deal to God. Handling sex God's way should be a big deal to us. And then some of the teaching points. God created sex. He gave great purposes for sex. He gave clear parameters for sex. And then the weekend of the 23rd and also that Wednesday night, which is the 26th, we will be talking about dating. And it's really the big idea from the first week. Unless I'm wholeheartedly pursuing a relationship with Christ, all of the relationships will be a hopeless attempt to fill that void. And some of the things that we'll be talking about is, first and foremost, the Bible doesn't talk about dating. The concept wasn't around back then. It was a different thing. But it does have a few things that can help point us in the right way. And so we'll be looking at some of those key principles within that. Hey, again, each week there'll probably be another video just, right after this one, because it's coming up. The weekend is coming up. We will be in week 2, love versus lust. And so if you want more information, then make sure you're checking out our Facebook page, because each week I'll give a more detailed description of what I'll be talking about, what we'll be discussing. And so I want this to be a tool for you. I want you to know what your kid is going to be learning in junior high ministry, so that we can be partners. We can help you. I can support you. And I want to do that. And if you have any questions, please don't hesitate to stop by JHM on Sundays or Wednesdays. Have a conversation with me. If you want to hear it straight from me and not on video, I'd love to talk with you. You can email me, aarony@bvg.org. If you have any questions whatsoever. If you want to give me a phone call, 571-4831. That is my direct line here at the church. I'm in the office Mondays through Thursdays. And so give me a call. I'll call you as soon as I can if you have any questions. So share this video, get the word out. And again, I'm praying for you as you're now watching this, probably trying to figure out, oh, now I got to kind of talk about this. You can do it. All right. We'll see you later.